Hello and welcome to another part of redesigning HighGuardianSpice characters. We're doing great. Everything is amazing. I definitely haven't recorded this for the fucking 17th time because I'm a dumbass and for some reason I can't figure out how to properly record in the proper time frame, and that's okay. So today we're going over Sage. Watch my first video please if you haven't yet, because contextually I won't go over a lot of the world building that I established there. If you don't, then that's fine too, as long as you enjoy this one. First of all, I'm going to structure this video in 3 parts: design, character, and old magic versus new magic, because I'm going to rewrite the system of that. We'll see how it goes. Hope you're in for the ride. The design phase will be very short because I actually never have a clue what I'm doing. I just do whatever I want to, I do whatever I feel like. You can see my designs aren't the most striking or original, but they're fun, so I did it. I hope you like them too. Moving on, let's start. The speed paint is already going, so we should get going too. So, first of all, design. I kept the colors inspired by the old design. I made her skin a little darker. I think I changed her eye color too. And I obviously changed literally everything about her face and her outfit. And I guess her body type too. I mean, I tried to make her a little bit thicker because I thought it would look pretty. And yeah, so I kept her design colors largely the same. I also took the blue. I made her hair a dark blue, but I took a very light blue for the headscarf that she wears to kind of protect her hair from various spells that she might or might not fuck up. I took that color from Rosemary's design to kind of link them together. It's the color of her mother's sword and her eyes. Pretty subtle, but I thought it would be nice to kind of keep in. And I had her dress, you'll see it a little later in the speed paint, I had her dress be quite long, quite modest, a little more subtle, a little less out there than Rosemary's design was, because Sage is a more calm and collected character. She also gets kind of face markings in this purple color that also her left eye is in. She has this little bolt-shaped pupil in her left eye that has story reasons actually. And she gets these magical tattoos that are the cost that magic leaves behind when you use it. She also has pointy ears because I think they're neat and I put them there. She's still a human though. Moving on to character. As I said, the design section would really be short in this one. Sage is soft-spoken but firm, so when she voices her opinion, what she says she really stands behind. She doesn't really back down. She's not really interested in having somebody else contradict her, because what she says she believes and what she says she has thought about quite frequently. So she won't just go around and being like, oh yeah, you suck because I say so, but when she says you suck, then you probably suck. But she says it in a soft way. She's feminine. She's not really interested in being anything less than herself and less than a woman. Is that significant for the plot? Not really, but I think it really defines her character because she's strong and strong-willed, but that doesn't mean that she's any less feminine, which I thought was quite important because not everybody thinks that way in strong female characters. That's what Sage is. She lost an eye, that's the bowl-shaped pupil. She can see in it, but she can't see well. She lost an eye to magic. She knows the cost of living, and she's not going to let anybody talk her into anything else. She has a broad-based knowledge of emotional intelligence and plants. Is that really significant to her character? Yes, it is. She will be able to read a room quite well. as soon as she enters it. And plants are very important because her base education was as a healer. Her mother is a healer, she wants to be a healer. She goes to High Guardian Academy to actually learn combat skills because she knows a lot about healing, she doesn't know a lot about fighting. And one thing that's really significant about her character, she might be soft-spoken, but she's very, very angry at the world. She has seen in her years as a healer how incredibly rude non-magic users are towards magical creatures and towards mages and towards literally the world. They take everything for granted, and she's just about sick of it. She wants to become a guardian to make a difference in the world. She really believes that through good example, good results can be achieved, and that kind of also means that she will probably have to fight, because she will probably move through the country a lot, and she's not above putting, you know, her magic to good use in that way and to protect herself, but doesn't really mean that she likes it. She's still semi-pacifistic, I guess. She definitely doesn't want to be a murderer, she just wants to know how to defend herself and then to protect magical creatures, to protect people, and try to make a difference through showing people how beautiful magic can be. She also really believes in the fact that old magic is the only true way to do magic and the only moral way to do magic, because magic requires sacrifice, magic requires ritual, and she has learned that it's incredibly important to adhere to these rules. If you don't, you go mad. And that's kind of what happened when she tried to bite off more than she could chew. She was in a situation where she was very, very angry. She wanted to show people the power of magic and that they shouldn't mess with it. This will happen before she actually comes to High Guardian Academy, and it cost her her leg. You will see it later in the speed paint. She did a spell that she wasn't prepared for, she wasn't strong enough for, and it fucked over her leg. She couldn't do anything. Took her leg. That's the price of magic. If you don't learn magic properly, that's the price that you have to pay. Which is why she's very adamant that new magic can't be as harmless as people say. Now, I think that kind of covers her base character. She's not very... She isn't really resentful towards anybody. She doesn't hold grudges, but she will remember what you did to her. She will remember. If you are regretful of it, then she will forgive, but she will always remember, and that will kind of be a core part of her character too. Now I think that that's all covered. I'm going to talk about old magic versus new magic. Old magic definitely takes years to master. You have to really be good at it, you have to study it, you have to understand why people use their spells the way that they use them. There's no real magical language, but more magical spells that have proven effective. But before you can use a spell, you have to know what it means. You have to know why they're using the words that they're using. You have to understand what they're asking for so that you can also equally ask for it. And that's basically why it takes so long to master. And magic is an exchange. There's magical veins that run through the earth, that run through the world, and if you want to access magic, you have to tap into very specific veins. They're invisible, semi. If you get a really big one, you might be able to see it. Haven't really thought about that part yet, if I'm going to be completely honest, but that's kind of the main theme. There's magical veins that you as a magician want to tap into, and to hit the right one, you need to be very delicate. Just like as if you were taking blood. So that's why magicians get very old, and very powerful ones will be very old, because the study that they have to put into learning their craft is intense, and Sage has done this for a long time, or basically all her life. As long as she can remember, she is trained to be a healer, so she's quite a good healer. Not perfect yet because she's still young, but she can heal pretty much everything from like a scab to basic poison, and she can probably fix up your broken leg if you give her some time. So she's around 19 in this rewrite, so you can kind of gather what that means if she's studied for, let's say, around 9 to 10 years and has watched her mother, who is also a healer, kind of watched her work too, even before that. The thing about, you know, magic in this universe is that in my rewrite it's semi-sentient, it's not really sentient, and its moral code is definitely different from that of humans, but if it even has one. But basically the reason why it's an exchange is that the energy, the magic lends you its magical properties, but it needs a price. If you know how to ask for it properly, if you know how to use the spells properly, that will leave you fatigued if you use too much of it, but other than that, all that is really left on your skin is the marks that kind of appear on you. If the magic says, hey, I will help you with this spell, but you are aware, I mean, it won't speak to you, but you are aware that it will take out more out of you, than more energy out of you than, sorry, let's start again. The magic will require more energy out of the magician than the magician has knowledge to compensate for. That's when stuff like casual amputations and getting you blind happen, because the magic needs an exchange. It needs to kind of replenish its own energy if it's going to give more energy into the world than it is by just being a vein that exists and keeps things alive. So that's why Sage lost her leg. The magic needed something to compensate for the amount that Sage required, and that's the only way that it knew how to. That's why abusing magic is really hard, because most of the time you're the one who will suffer through it. And you will have to be incredibly careful with what you do to be able to harness a lot of magic without damaging yourself. So you can't go around saying, I want to kill these 20 people, because in most cases magic doesn't really like to kill, so it won't be inclined to lend you its strength in that case anyway. And also killing 20 people would be, if you did it with melee weapons like a knife or something, it would take out a lot of you, and equally if you would do it with magic, it would take out a lot of you. And this is taking rifles entirely out of the question because I hate guns. Ooh, strong opinions on my second YouTube video. Should I be doing this? I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, moving on. Old magic. It can't really be abused just because of that fact, because of how, like, delicate an art it is, because it really is an art, it's a craft, and it isn't evil. However, if a magical vein dies because everything at some point is empty, let's say it like that, it becomes dark magic in a way that it kind of becomes cursed. It kills whatever it interacts with, it's corrupted, and most of the time you won't find it anywhere except for in deep caverns and very, very, very deep caves where ancient things lie that the normal human being can't even imagine. And nobody is strong enough to harness a lot of dark magic without harming themselves, so it's mostly left alone and left to its own devices. And if dark magic spews out a dark magic monster, then you will be able to kill it, but you kind of leave the dark magic alone. And that's how it's good. That's how it's great. This is very important for the new magic that I'm going to talk about now. New magic is still stored in these terror spheres like in the show. The only difference is that nobody really knows how the magic gets into it. And most people who use it don't really care. Most people being humans who can't even do magic, or other races who can't even do magic, who use it for small spells like keeping you warm and heating up your water, because that's what these spheres can do for you. They can ease magical spells, and they require a lot less training to be used. And the topic of nobody really knows what these spheres are made of is great, because in the original show nobody fucking knows what new magic is supposed to be, and thus I will keep it that way. New magic has no limits except for the mind, and obviously how much energy can be stored in the terror sphere, and it's very new. A lot of people don't really know what it's about. They don't really know where it comes from. They don't really care. Nobody knows the drawback of it, which is why a lot of old mages don't really think it's a wise decision to bring this to the masses, because magic always has a price, and just because you don't know it yet doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But the people who subscribe to the ideology of new magic are like, yo, it has no limits, it has no drawbacks, it's completely risk-free, which, spoiler alert, it isn't, and that's what probably Season 3 or Season 2 would go into, that Sage realizes the drawback of new magic is that it depletes these magical veins a lot more quickly than normal old magic would, because instead of having an exchange of energy, it's stealing from it. And as long as it's just, being stolen from, it will cause corrupted magic, it will cause kind of dark magic, but it will stay in the earth, let's say it like that, it will stay in the veins. But if anybody were to tap into these veins and kind of try to do more with it, if they